Marty's Garden is all about compost worms, composting, farming worms indoors and out, and growing some of the most awesome food around. You can learn how by clicking the subscribe button and hitting the bell so you don't miss any of my videos.
Welcome world to the Marty's Garden Show.
So in today's video, we're going to talk about worm farm temperatures, plastic worm farms, outdoor worm farms, compost tumbling worm farms, compost piles, and take you on a tour around as my daughter Karen, if you haven't met her before, this is the girl behind the camera. She does such an awesome job, and what I want you to do is give her a comment, say thanks Karen, or a big thumbs up like that. Big thumbs up. All right. Enjoy the video, guys. Remember, right at the end, I'm going to talk about it a lot more and take it even further. So make sure you stay on for the whole video. So this is my 3 worm farms. Actually, it's my worm farm space. It's shaded in the summer and the morning sun comes straight in here in the winter. Now I've got 3 different types of bedding in these worm farms. So this one here is mostly just wood chip sawdust and coffee grounds. Tiny little bit of manures mixed in that come from the cow manure and the mushroom. But we'll have a quick look inside and you can see these castings are pretty much nearly ready to go, and it's made quite a good quality casting. Now this type of worm farm doesn't heat up, so if Karen just steps back again with the camera a little bit so she can get us all right in the frame here. These other 2 beds, this one has cow manure and this one has cocoa peat, and they're not very prone to heating up unless they're in like the full sun because they're black. If you're putting like heavy nitrogen materials into these worm farms, they will heat up because remember, it actually is a type of composting system. And you can have a look. I'll just give you a bit of a look of what we can get out of something like this. Look at that. It's worm castings. Just beautiful, beautiful stuff. So if Karen steps back on the camera.
Dad,
yeah.
Why is there a slug in there?
A slug? Oh look. He's hiding out because it's nice and wet. Look, there we go. Well spotted, Karen. Yeah. We'll throw him out in the sun over here. Don't swing the camera around like that because that'll make it just go woo woo everywhere wobbly. And we'll keep moving around the garden, and hopefully if the wind and the noise stays good, we can keep on filming. So let's go around this way. We're going to talk more about heat. So if you look over here, you can see that's my trommel, and I use that to make all my compost and stuff. This is my hungry bin. Now these are prone to getting hot, and I've only had this for about 4 months now. I'd have to go back and check the date and stuff, but it's a pretty productive worm farm, and you can see in here all those worms. Look, it's eating through that material. I don't want to disturb them too much, but there's a lot. Look, I say I don't want to disturb them, but
Ew.
Check them out. I think that's a euro there, and we'll put this one back down. Cover it over. So these are prone to heating up because you put a lot more material in them. See, if you're putting a lot of carbon material and it's breaking down and it's a solid mass, more chance of them getting hot. So that can be one of the issues with this type of farm. But in the winter time, if it's in a cooler spot and the material's heating up, it's going to do the opposite and keep your worms warm. So you need to keep an eye on something like this, maybe even open the lid up if it's overheating, because they don't have a lot of holes in them. So prone to overheating, but a really good worm farm that I am experiencing so far. Now, this is something that I mentioned in a previous video about composting and then using compost worms in your compost tumbler. Now, this type, it's a bigger mass yet again. So again, possibly more chance of heating up. But what we want to do is not add too much nitrogenous material. Is that a word, nitrogenous? Sounds good anyway, right? So if we look inside, you can see that I've actually thrown in, like, it's just potting mix, and it's got perlite through there at the moment. Kind of steps back to the camera. and that'll be tumbled again soon. And in here I'm just throwing, there's a bit of fruit fly in here at the moment, so we've got to work on that problem, but we're just working on a mix of different carbon mixes and stuff. But go back and watch that video about using a compost tumbler as a worm farm. So this one's got the broken handle, so I've just got to spin it like this.
Oh, poor Dad.
And keep the air in it. keep it flowing. And when because the handle's broken, I let it get too heavy, so it's probably my fault. So I open it up and then let it all pour down into here. Now this type of worm farm is just an open, exposed one. They don't really heat up, but they work pretty good, considering, you know, we'll pull out a worm out of there. So they're right through that, the red tigers. And I've got mostly, actually I've got a lot of different worms. I've got red tigers, wrigglers and blue worms, and then I've got 2 different types of the night crawlers, the African and the Euro. So they do mix up a bit, but I try not worry about it too much. But I've got my night crawlers, my African Euro night crawlers in here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're the big ones. They like to get out and go cruising around. So we're going to keep walking around. Now we might get exposed to a bit more wind here. It's still winter here in Australia. Karen's doing a great job on the camera, so thank you, Karen. Here we're walking out to my outdoor compost area. Now this in the winter time is all about heat, right? We want to have a lot of heat. So we can come over here. We've got about 4 cubic meters of the local material, and if I dig into this, you'll see the steam coming out. It's starting to go a bit mouldy, and I want to breathe that in. It's not very good, but that's warm in there. I can put my hand in there and warm my hands up. And you can see it's just from the local trees around here, and you can see that the bark stuff. So I'm breaking this down, and look, see the mold heating up. Look, that's the moisture and the nitrogen breaking down and getting into this system. So then I'm slowly bringing it over to here. Now this is all about, as I said before, heat, right? So I'm throwing coffee grounds into this at the moment and wetting it down and starting it to warm up. So I want to get this material breaking down because I want the worms to all migrate from over here down in this corner for the late spring and summer. So as you come across here, you can see material that I'm working on, and this is really warm. This has got more moisture in it, it's more locked in, and it's, you know, it's again, it's another type of just the tree mulch from around the area. And then it's got cow, mushroom, and you can see the coffee that I'm putting on top here. It's got that great smell to it, just, yeah. Oh, it almost smells like cooked coffee now. I'm not a coffee drinker though, I'm a tea man. But I know people love their coffee. Now as we move around through here, this material's getting much cooler. And we'll probably find the worms starting to get close to the coffee now. Starting to move across here. We dig them up. Look, there they are. They're starting to move over into this material, which is what I want. I want them to migrate over here, into there, and across over to here. So, and I've also been watering more over the other side because they move towards the moisture, because I want to harvest off this side here. So this is what I'm harvesting to make the compost to sell and for my own gardens. And look at that beautiful material. It is so good. It's so good. Now the worms have moved out of there because it's getting a bit dry. You can see a little baby one there. So if we move around here, you can see I've got this covered over because I want the moisture to lock in, I want the warmth to lock in, and I want them to feel safe and nice and dark. And again, look. Look at this, look. You can get an idea of the volumes of worms that I'm getting in a good composted area, and that again will be sifted through and made into something really, really cool. Now if Karen comes around to the end, here is another hot area that we're working on. Lots of coffee, lots of sawdust, lots of mushroom, lots of cow, and we're going to have a lot of this broken down material, this material that hasn't yet broken down that the worms are feeding on. See that sawdust there, and the coffee, and the cow, and the mushroom. That's my artisan mix basically. So you can see, look, there's some eggs. You can see the egg with my thumbs pointing there. If that's focusing on that, Karen, is it the egg?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So you can see they're laying eggs in this material and moving through. Now if I dig down in, again it's nice and warm, right? So what I want to do, because it's winter time, is I want to regulate this. I'm not digging it and turning it over like you would normal compost. Every now and again I am. I'm letting the worms doing all the tilling, and in the center there's a central zone like a hub that's hot, and it's bringing up to the subsurface, and they can find the exact temperature, moisture and food that they want. So I'm going to cover it over again, help them to feel nice and dark, trapping that moisture from drying out from the winds here. And Karen steps back, we can look right down the whole thing here. And as you can see, I've got a lot to harvest. So that's pretty cool, right? We're talking literally thousands upon thousands of worms in that compost, laying their cocoons all the time, turning over that material into beautiful worm casts, spreading their biology right through it. You just can't get a better organic material than that. Maybe if you're throwing in a few extra things from here and there, you can keep improving on it. But it's all about the temperature control and keeping those worms happy and healthy, so they keep working, because when they get too cold, they slow right down, and when they get too hot, they slow right down. So the optimum temperatures is pretty much how we like to be. If we'd be too cold there, they'd be too cold. If we'd be too hot there, they'd be too hot. Stick your hand in, feel around. Does it feel too cold? Does it feel too hot? Work on ways of controlling your temperatures, and that way you'll get much better results over the long term. Now, I'm Marty Ware, I'm an agricultural horticulturist from Australia, and if you want to learn more from me, head over to martysgarden.com.au, get on the newsletter there. There's more courses coming on the way, teaching you guys how to grow fresh food, organic food fast in urban places and small spaces. Have a great day, happy gardening, and we'll see you at the next video real soon. Bye for now.